Today we're going to make a classic campfire recipe. It's venison steak and potatoes. Like any good recipe, this one starts with bacon. It's one of my favorite ingredients, so I use it fairly often. But we're going to start by dicing up about 4 slices of bacon. So we've got it in our 12-inch Lodge Dutch oven. We're going to move it over to the fire, let it get started cooking, and start rendering out some bacon grease. Going to hook it on our tripod here and get it fairly close to the heat. While our bacon renders over in our Dutch oven, our next step is to dice up some Yukon Gold potatoes. You just want to cut those into bite-sized pieces so that they cook relatively quickly. We're dicing up probably about 3 pounds worth. This is a pretty good sized recipe. The 12-inch Lodge holds quite a bit of food, so you can feed an entire deer camp with this in one pot. Take a large sweet yellow onion, cut that into thin slices. These are the inside portion of the hind quarter. They're top rounds, and what we're going to do is dice those up into bite-sized pieces. This is going to feed a pretty hardy deer camp, so we want to make sure we've got plenty. So now we've got our potatoes and onions cut up, we've got our venison cut up. We're going to season everything. We're going to go with coarse sea salt. Next we're going to go with coarse ground black pepper. And finally we're going to go with some Traeger Big Game rub. It's just an all-purpose barbecue rub. By this time our bacon's crisp. We're going to just remove it from the pot. We're going to leave the grease in there, but we're going to take the crispy bacon out. We've removed the bacon. Next I'm going to go get the venison. We're going to put it directly in the pot, straight into the hot grease. At this point, we're not trying to cook the venison all the way through. We're just browning it in the hot grease just to get a nice caramel golden brown on the surface. We've got our venison browned. We don't want to overcook it, so we pulled it out pretty quickly. We're going to put it back in as soon as the potatoes and onions are done. It'll cook a few minutes more. So for right now, we're just going to set this off to the side. Next thing to go into the pot, we've got our seasoned onions and potatoes. We've got them all diced up so they'll cook relatively quickly. We're just going to dump those straight into the hot grease. To make the potatoes and onions cook a little quicker, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the lid on the Lodge Dutch oven. Then we're going to shovel a few coals up on top so that the Dutch oven cooks from below and above at the same time. Final little bit of prep. We've got a bunch of flat leaf parsley here. We're going to cut the stems out so that we leave mostly just the tops leaves. We're just going to give that a fine chop. Who says we don't eat vegetables at deer camp? All right, everything's been cooking for about 20 minutes now. I'd say the potatoes are pretty soft by this point. The onions are cooked. We're going to take the lid off. We're going to stir everything around and take a look at it. Give everything a quick stir here. You see the potatoes are pretty soft. They're kind of falling apart a little bit. Onions are caramelized. I think we're in good shape. Next, we're going to add our venison back to it. All right, next we're going to add 2 cups of your favorite shredded cheese. This step is entirely optional. Maybe even just a little more juice. Several jalapenos to the pot. Then we'll take our tongs and kind of give that a little bit of a stir. Get that kind of mixed up a little bit. The last thing to go in is our cilantro that we diced up. It's been probably another 10 minutes or so. Everything's cooked. The venison's cooked all the way through. Everything's hot. The cheese is melted. So now we're going to take it off the fire and see what we've got. There we go. We're ready to feed them full camp.